Thank you, John. I'm simply in awe of Carnegie Mellon. I'll tell you why. 1965, Alan Newell, Alan Perlis, Herb Simon created modern computer science right here. That's the facts. How do I know it? Google told me. I also know it because in the early 1970s, I worked with them. So I have some actual experience as well. This place, for some reason, was the center of more innovation and wealth creation than has occurred in many, many decades in America. I don't know why, but I know it's true. And it's important that you succeed for the next 100 years with this phenomenal new president. Of course, if we continue the narrative, the School of Computer Science was established under my mentor, Jim Morris, Randy Bryant now. Lots and lots of interesting things about machine intelligence, machine learning, robotics. And as part of my belief in the importance of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon, we created a development group here of some number of hundreds of people, which has generated at least 30 or 40 billion dollars of profits for the company. I'm in awe of that too. So when I think about this place, it was a mythical place of achievement. And the labs here were not just for experience and research. They were where the future was dreamed up and where it was created. And so now we have a new leader who is the perfect combination to lead us forward here. The background, Berkeley, MIT, National Science Foundation, where all interesting research gets started, it seemed to me, and now here. What's interesting about our energetic new leader is he's also testament of why we need to be an open country to get extraordinarily brilliant people to come into our country and change our country and build our future, Dr. Suresh. So, they always say time changes things, but you have to change them yourself. And that's a direct quote from Tartan that I know a little bit about. And in this campus, a lot have sat in this building. A lot of people are, and this school is renowned worldwide, obviously, for the computing work and engineering work that we're talking about. But let's not forget that the School of Drama is celebrating its 100th year in 2014, that the School of Music celebrated its centennial in 2012, that the School of Applied Arts was part of Andrew Carnegie's original plan for the university, right alongside training and technology, which all opened together more than a century ago. It's interesting when you think about, he could not possibly have imagined that 100 years after this was founded, the people who were here created far more wealth than he ever had. Isn't that interesting? So there are lots and lots of people who I could have quoted to talk about, and I'm a computer scientist, obviously I have a bias, but with 15 Nobel laureates and the 10 Turing Awards, which is the largest number of computer science top awards in the country, they say that time changes things, but you have to change them yourself. These are the words, by the way, of Andy Warhol, right? Student, inventor, innovator in his own right, and I think it rings true today. So you guys, right, from the freshman in the room all the way up to the most distinguished faculty member, everyone here is a problem solver. Maybe that's the answer to what I said. Maybe it's a slightly different attitude, starting from the founding of the university, that has both achieved greatness but also achieved great impact. Very interesting. Is it reproducible? Yes. It will take 100 years. So the good news, I guess, is that right now there are even more problems to solve than before. And you hear them a lot, right? So you're busy, right? Center of innovation and problem solving, it's right here. Joblessness, especially for the young. Economic disparity that only seems to widen. Barriers to education, to opportunity, to social and political progress. We hear this all day. If they're going to be solved, they're going to be solved here, in my humble opinion. But these can be solved. And everyone in this room, you know, poets and physicists, engineers, English majors, everyone has the power to solve them, and the power is with you now, starting, by the way, with what you have in your pockets or your purses. You might not be studying tech per se, but tech is your tool to change the future. The power of those computers that you carry around with you. Unimaginable when computer science was founded here 50 years ago, right? The power of a supercomputer in your pocket. You've never had a situation where people had this amount of individual power. Let's harness the collective intelligence of all those people to solve all these problems and make the world a better place. Now, so the problem, of course, is how do you solve these problems? You started with innovation. It's flourishing, right? Flourishing here and in other places. And what's interesting is when you look at the economics of development, technological invention has driven almost all human progress and GDP growth. So if you wonder why we do what we do, we are the source, the collective we, of economic growth, well-being, medical health, culture, and so forth. If you look back in history between 5000 BC and the 18th century, GDP per capita, as best we can measure it, more or less doubled over 5,000 years. Since then, in the past year, it's been growing by a factor of 33. So it really does matter, starting with the Industrial Revolution, which you all know a lot about because a lot of it happened right here in Pittsburgh. So you hear people say, oh, okay, well, it's different now. It's absolutely different now. The last 500 years is not correct. Technology is reducing the need for human employment, but there's no direct line from innovation to real jobs. The only problem with that quote is it's false. I mean, aside from that, it's a nice quote. So people have actually studied this. There's an Italian economist whose name is Enrico Moretti, who's found that for each new high-tech job in a city, 5 additional jobs are ultimately created outside of high tech, right? So, and you see this in the tech boom that has been going on here for a while. Skilled occupation, lawyers, teachers, nurses, and unskilled ones as well. So technology in this form is a driver of economic and social gain. It's not a hindrance. Now, it's true, of course, you have all this knowledge literally at your fingertips, but just because we know more than we used to doesn't mean our problems go away. So it turns out that the knowledge that you have, the fact that you know this, does not actually cause it to get fixed. You actually have to take an action. It's interesting that the future doesn't happen, right? It happens because, you know, for engineers, the future is not etched or written or coded somewhere. There's no algorithm or formula that says technology will do X or Y. Technology does not work on its own. It's just a tool. You are the ones who harness its power. So when I think about how we're going to address the multitude of issues that we face globally, and things in general are going pretty well globally, in terms of health, growth, war, those sorts of things, it's going to happen because people like the people in this room, but more importantly, the current and future students of the institution led by Dr. Suresh will in fact be the mechanism that will in fact not just drive a better world for themselves. Corporations, knowledge, research, medicine, peace, literature, art, all done in this context. I think the best place to do that is right here, because technological innovation is not just a line in the syllabus. It's actually in the DNA of the organization. Again, it's just there. You take it for granted. You don't realize that you're exceptional. I'm here to tell you that. This is a place that births global progress, if you will. This is a place that can shape a society like the ones. Think of this as a new society with shared norms and values across all of this. So, and I said before, computers can do amazing things. I've spent my whole life in this. Thank you very much for inventing my field. Again, could not have happened without you. Andrew Carnegie would never have imagined the power that you have in your hands now. These computers, right, that we work on, they have speed, they have memory, they have this intricately complicated wiring and unfathomably complex secure circuitry. But what they don't have, by the way, is they don't have a heart, right? You hear about technology taking away jobs, but until it takes away our hearts, which it's not going to, it will only serve us to help us to help others. right? It helps us to solve problems to help other people and make the world genuinely a better place. I'm really an optimist on this. So the digital ties that bind humanity together, the one that you're building now, are not possible without technology, but it's also not possible without us. And by us, I mean you. Not just the people here, but the people that you train, the people that you lead. This is not going to be easy, but as your fellow Tartan said, time does not change things, but if there's any group that can do this, led by a new president, right, a great leader for a great institution, it's now time for you to go out and change things yourself. Thank you very, very much, and congratulations, Dr. Suresh.